Hello, everyone, and welcome. Before we start, I would like to let everyone know that there is interpretation in French and Spanish. So please select the language you prefer at the bottom of your screen. My name is Aroub from Jordan. I'm 25 years old, women's rights activist and climate change advocate, working with the Plan International Jordan as she leads the project officer. And it's my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Plan International to celebrate the International Day of Girls. It's really great to see that we are all coming together in this day, the October 11, to address the importance of girls and young women in creating social change and to reflect on the state of girls' rights and to see how we all make sure that they are realized. Our panelists for today will reflect on where have we come from and where are we going, and will share from their personal and organizational perspective what they believe we have accomplished for the advancement of girls' rights around the world, as well as the challenges still to be addressed. Eventually, the voices of girls are heard on this global stage. And we are so lucky today to have three girls and young women advocates. So please welcome Gloria, 15 years old from Cameroon, is a child advisor at Child Rights Connect. She is also project manager at Children for Peace. And we have Miriam, 17 years old from Lebanon, is on Child Rights Connect Children Advisory Team. She also founded a program called the Civic Engagement Program to promote children's civic engagement within their communities. Linda from Uganda. Linda is a young woman from Uganda. She's a coordinator for the She Leads Network in her country, as well as a She Leads UN youth representative. And we'll join them. Mr. Stephen Omollo has been the CEO of Plan International since February 2022. And before that, he served in a number of leadership roles across the development and the humanitarian sector. And we have Ms. Catherine Russell, UNICEF Executive Director. Before joining UNICEF, Ms. Russell has a long career within the United States government, working in particular on issues related to women's rights. She is unfortunately unable to join us today live, but has shared a video message. We have live with us Ms. Lauren Rampel, Associate Director Gender Equality at UNICEF, who will share some remarks after Ms. Russell's video. And we have Her Excellency, Madam Monica Chakwera, First Lady of Republic of Malawi. In addition to being the First Lady of Malawi, Her Excellency Ms. Chakwera is a passionate defender of girls' rights in her country, especially girls in rural settings. We are honored to welcome you, Your Excellency. The questions for the intergenerational dialogue were developed by a group of girls and young women advocates. Also, we would like to remind everyone present today of some of the values of this space. This is a safe space where we want to do everything we can to make sure that everyone here, both young people and adults, feel free and comfortable. We request everyone to practice respect, authenticity, empathy, and no judgment so that we can ensure a safe, enabling environment for everyone. We will not tolerate any bullying, discrimination, or harassment, and we will remove any participants who behaves in a way that is not in line with these values. On our call today, we have a safeguarding focal point. If at any time one of our panelists or participants feels unsafe, you can email them at unofficegeneve@planinternational.org. Also, in this webinar, you have the option of interacting via the question and answer box that you will see at the bottom of your screen. So please feel free to send the questions for the panelists in writing at any time during this event, and we will select a few to be addressed at the end. To begin, we have a short video message from girls and young women. After that, I would like to warmly welcome Mr. Stephen Omollo, the Plan International CEO, and invite him to make some introductory remarks. I wish you all a happy International Day of Girls.
girls 10 years from now in your country?
In 10 years to come, I'm looking at a world where girls will be empowered to stand up for their rights. The problem we are facing as young women will be a thing of the past in 10 years to come.
My vision for girls in my community in 10 years is seeing that girls are influencing decisions in all aspects of life. Girls taking up leadership positions not just as leaders but meaningfully participating in their leadership positions, and their views are honored and respected.
Are supported to make their own decisions, being in positions they want to be in, trusted to be in leaderships, and maybe if we enlightened those old cultural people and their minds, they would support gender equality and women's rights.
In the quest of leaving no one behind, as per the SDGs agenda of 2030, I want to see a society where girls and young women with disabilities are treated with dignity.
The leadership roles that the world presents as opportunities will have women standing and not facing any sort of stigma.
I would love to see encourage girls who are not afraid to say their opinion.
And girls in school, no more teenage pregnancy, no more child marriage, no more early marriage for girls. Since they will be in school, they will be able to attain SR, HR that will enable them to prevent them from early premarital sex. And also they will understand the benefits of education, that marriage can wait but education cannot wait.
I want to see a society where our decisions and sexual and reproductive health rights and services are respected, and I want to see girls and young women with disabilities included in every services, in every decision-making processes, and girls with disabilities that have a voice.
Marriage and pregnancy will be a thing of choice and not forcement.
Girls who believe that they can also come together and work together for climate change action, and also girls who believe that they are worthy of honor, worthy of respect, worthy to be honored, and also worthy to be celebrated.
I'm looking at a world where gender equality, diversity, and inclusion will be the language of girls and young women. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the girls in the video. And now, Mr. Omollo, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much indeed. Delighted to join this very important occasion. I'm seated here in Nigeria, in Abuja, where we're celebrating the International Day of the Girl Child, together with the different stakeholders in the country. Wonderful messages coming out of this summit. Plan International is, of course, delighted and honored to be convening this 24-hour virtual forum in celebration of the 10-year anniversary of the International Day of the Girl. On December 19, 2021, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution to declare October 11th as the International Day of the Girl Child. And so we know that, but it's important to reiterate that this recognizes girls' rights and the unique challenges girls face around the world. So today, in many capital cities, in many areas, rural areas, urban areas, everyone is celebrating this day by talking on the issues of rights, talking on the issues of the challenges that face the girl today, but also offering solutions. And I really hope that from these discussions that we're going to have today, that we can offer tangible solutions and not just talk about the challenges that we face. So Plan International was among the organizations advocating actively with member states to make this day a reality. This year's International Day of the Girl Child, on the 11th of October 2022, marks the 10th anniversary of this UN special observance. The IDG, to shorten it, has been a catalyst for change over this last decade. I saw that in the eyes and the discussions I've had with girls around the world, from El Salvador to Guatemala to Uganda, and now here in Nigeria, and in discussions with girl champions, really girl champions who are really out there to fight for the rights of girls, but also to be bold enough in saying it, like the First Lady, who is joining us here today from Malawi, and my discussions with her in United Nations General Assembly reiterate that together we can make this change and transformation. So I'm here really grateful that we can then commit to this call for action, but commit that in terms of acting, not just committing and talking, but to act. So following this, of course, inauguration of the IDG, we say that it now offers us an opportunity to galvanize the international community, not only to celebrate the advances we have seen in girls' rights over the past decade, but also to take stock of where we must and what we must do more to renew our commitment. So therefore, it's an occasion for all of us to lead the discussions and share with the decision makers to take action. So when I'm here in Nigeria today, and in my address this morning to the ministers present and the stakeholders and young people, we challenge ourselves. We challenge ourselves to look at the areas of education. And we said that it has to be universal. Education has to be at all levels and not just stop at the primary education. If we want to make a difference, we have to go all the way to secondary education and beyond. And here's a small data that I want to share with you. UNAIDS is telling us that close, not close, this is, they have done research and it is on point. They are telling us that today, Sahara Africa, per week, 5,000. But listen to this, that close to 60 to 70% of that actually is girls impacted between the age of 15 and 29. Now, but then the good news that UNAIDS share with us, of course, we know that good news, is that if we can get education to all girls and education beyond the primary level, we can reduce that by 50%. What are we waiting for? We must address that. We must then make the call for all stakeholders to ensure that all girls get education, and they must. And we must create the enabling environment for all girls to get education. So it is also an occasion for us to talk about the issues of freedoms and rights and the violations of those freedoms and rights. And where we see governments who have done a great work in bringing legislation in place to decriminalize abortion, for example, in Sierra Leone, and the governments that have taken huge steps on anti-FGM and banning FGM, or governments that have taken steps to ban early child marriage or forced marriage, we've got to applaud that. So from Dominican Republic to Sierra Leone to South Sudan to Kenya and to many other governments that have come forward to put very clear legislations in place to protect the girl child. We must acknowledge that. But that is not enough. That is not enough. We still have over 144 countries in the world that have not made any meaningful contribution to ensure that girls' rights and equality for girls is protected. So we must continue to be bold in advocating for this and calling it out and engaging with all the stakeholders to bring pressure to bear. That is what we must do. And we are saying it here in Nigeria yesterday and today. That is a clarion call. So the forum, this forum is also a display on the way in which the world has come together over the past 10 years to push for progress on those rights. So we must celebrate the gains that we have registered. I'm afraid that those gains are undermined. Now, UN Women is telling us that if we continue at this pace, then it may take us 300 years to land on the SDGs, especially on equality for girls and women. So I don't want to be woken up after 300 years to be told that we've just landed on it. I want to offer the solutions today and now. We must not wait, we must act now. So today, Plan International is releasing a new report in which we analyze the ways in which girls' lives and prospects have changed over the last decade. It's a beautiful report that I encourage everyone to read, a World Girls Report. It identifies key areas of improvements and key areas and gaps that we need to address. But our research also shows that the change has been slow, fragile, and unequal. Many girls, especially those experiencing multiple and intersecting vulnerabilities, have been left behind, especially in the rural areas. We must work with the communities, we must work with traditional leaders, we must work with the young people, and we must place girls at the center of the decision making in what we commit to do. So whereas the gains have been made, we still see major impact in some of those gains undermined and washed away because of the actions that we see in the government. Now, you can name it: climate change, fragility in war, Ukraine crisis, hunger, Horn of Africa, Sahel, Haiti, flooding. You can go on and on and on. Girls, children, and women bear the most brand, and we've got to support those actions. But we have also the honor of hearing today that we are all coming together, that we can share these issues. It gives me inspiration that this is a special day that's been set aside to celebrate, to challenge ourselves, and to be solution-oriented on how together we can hold hands to make all girls stand strong, to bring that global change that we all need. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omollo, for these words. Now I would like to give the floor to each of our three young panelists to tell us a bit about themselves and the work they do. What are the areas that they advocate for and why? What keeps them motivated and how they manage to keep going through all of the obstacles in their way towards the change? So we will start with Linda.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone.
Yes, Linda, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. My name is Linda. I'm from Uganda, and I'm under Karamoja Women Umbrella Organization. That is an implementing partner of the SHIELDS, the implementing partner of Terides Homes Netherlands, Uganda, partnering with Plan International Uganda. I'm actually a girls advocate here in Moroto, that is in Uganda. I do coordinate girls in Karamoja region, that is Moroto and Napak. Then I sit at the country network as well as the UN SHIELDS representative Uganda. So most of the thematic areas I always base on, it is on SRHR, leadership and gender discriminatory gender norms. Why basically I base on this? It is because of the cultural norms which affect us, the girls here in Uganda, mostly in my region. Like girls don't have access to education and very many other things. So that's why I had to stand up. I was all like, if a girl is being trusted, then which means that girl is a nation. That girl is a nation to everyone. That's why I had to really base on the I had to really fight and like if we can eliminate this some of the cultural norms, then and we give access to a girl to education, a right to education, then a girl will be seen somewhere. And if collective responsibility between a male and a female is brought together, then effective participation in the whole nation, not only in Uganda but worldwide, is perfect. Then on the experience, I actually went through a lot, starting with the advocacy. At first, I was denied, like you can't come to a gathering, like for the elders. That thing somehow demoralized me. I was all like, I have to fight and I have to keep on moving. Not until when I was picked up by a sub-county chief, like, no, Linda, all I see you talk of something is why don't you come and join on? Why don't you come and just advocate? You may never know. These elders might be despising you, but you have something on point. And to make matters interesting, it was actually a male leader who had picked me up, like, no, come and stand up for the voiceless. I was so like, yeah. If I stand up for the voiceless, then there is some impact which will be created on. That is a brief biography about me. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda, very much. And now we will move to Gloria. Gloria.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. In Africa, there is an escalation of insecurity perpetrated by terrorist groups. In many cases, children are used in direct hostilities for planting improvised explosive devices, to burn properties, and in a variety of support roles. Girls are targeted for particular horrendous abuse. Many are enrolled into forced and early marriages. Mon implication dans la société civile a été déclenchée après avoir lu et regardé plusieurs rapports et reportages sur la crise de sécurité et les droits des enfants et après avoir fait quelques voyages dans des zones conflictuelles avec des acteurs de la société civile. Then I decided to co-create Children for Peace, a girl-led organization committed to democratize the public space, to increase the number of children in peace building and engaging them to mobilize all stakeholders to prioritize efforts for peace building and effective socio-economic development. Notre impact se résume ainsi plus de 50 000 enfants formés, 5 millions d'enfants sensibilisés sur des thématiques liées à l'extrémisme violent et la non-prolifération des armes, au désarmement et aux droits de l'homme, et plus de 5 000 enfants engagés dans nos 80 clubs environnement de paix dirigés par des filles. Besides 17 more stakeholders, network constituted of over 550 religious and traditional leaders and 700 children, 75 political leaders and 650 community members working with children. Girls and women against identity-based differences, mobilizing them in community-led initiatives to find and implement gender approach to deal with conflict and human rights. S'agissant de nos défis, comme notre mouvement est composé de filles majoritairement mineures, il n'est pas toujours facile pour nous d'opérer librement. Étant donné que nous travaillons sur des questions complexes touchant la croyance, notre message sur l'égalité de sexe n'est pas toujours apprécié. Dans plusieurs communautés, la consolidation de la paix est considérée comme une prérogative des hommes victimes de menaces. Et souvent, nous sommes victimes des menaces en ligne et hors ligne. S'agissant de notre collaboration avec les ONG, nous n'avons pas l'impression d'être compris, puisque les ONG préfèrent travailler avec les organisations créées par des adultes que de travailler avec les organisations créées par des filles. Et nous avons du mal à gagner des financements pour intensifier notre action et la procédure est généralement complexe. In order to support girls to stimulate their activism in Africa, NGOs and governments should firstly create space for girls activism and girls young women's groups to operate in multiple forms. Secondly, acknowledge the role of NGOs and other organizations linked into this while enabling activists and groups to retain their autonomy. Thirdly, consider the different needs of girls and young women's groups, including that they may not operate as formal organizations but face barriers that hinder their work. And lastly, increase and build win-win partnership with girls and facilitate some funding and administrative procedure to their work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gloria. Now we will move to Mariam. Mariam, the mic is yours.
Hello, thank you. Before I introduce myself, I would like to express how happy I am to be here and speaking and representing girls in my country and all around the globe on this special day, the International Day of the Girl. My name is Miriam. I'm 17 years of age and I go with many titles which I have gained throughout my different activities. I was called a volunteer by my supporting organization, Himaya, a child human rights defender by Child Rights Connect, a vice president of the Youth Commission team by Loyac Lebanon, and a founder upon the establishment of my own program dedicated to children. Many titles exist indeed, but there is one that means to me the most. I am Miriam and I'm a girl. I'm a girl of great freedom and undying advocacy. And here I am today using the floor of expression to say a few vital words. Through the past 2 years, I have been participating in NGOs and international events as an advocate for child rights. It was triggered by the catastrophic situation that we are going through in our country, Lebanon. From explosions to inflation to poverty, we are facing lots of problems and slowly collapsing along with our mental well-being. And in crisis, there exists always a group of individuals that are neglected and where their suffering is disregarded. And upon my evaluation of the circumstances, the group of children that was neglected in my country was children. The group of the individuals that were neglected were children. So I decided to take action, and I founded my own initiative, the Civic Engagement Program for Children, which aims to help children recover from mental instability through civic contribution and community service. Under this initiative, I established my own comic book for children, which taught them fundamental concepts of civic engagement in different locations, at home, in neighborhoods, in parks, and maybe at schools as well. I taught this program to more than 200 children in Lebanon. And here I am today, speaking as well on behalf of a neglected group of individuals, a group which I belong to, which is girls. In the near future, as I pursue my dream of becoming a female pharmaceutical scientist, I will keep on being concerned with child rights and girls' rights, because I believe that it's a topic that adults and young girls should be concerned of and should speak of every day, not only on the International Day of the Girl. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Thank you so much, Gloria, Linda, Miriam, for sharing with us your stories and your amazing work. We will now turn to our intergenerational dialogue, where our panelists will discuss a few questions. For each question, one young person and one adult will share their reflection, and after that, any of our panelists are free to share additional thoughts. For the first question is for UNICEF Executive Director Ms. Catherine Russell, who will share her thoughts via video, and followed with Lauren Rampel from UNICEF, and also by Gloria. The first question: what challenges and opportunities do girls have from your perspective, and how has this changed in the last 10 years? Ms. Russell, video.
Happy International Day of the Girl. It's been 10 years since the first International Day of the Girl. Since then, we have come a long way for and with girls. Girls today have a greater chance of going to school and staying in school and pursuing a career and a future of their choosing. With the right skills and opportunities, girls can change the world, and many already are. But too many girls around the world still face gender gaps and persistent threats to their health, their education, and their well-being. Our hard-fought gains are at risk. Since joining UNICEF, I have had the chance to meet and talk to girls and young women around the world, and this is what I'm hearing. Girls are concerned about learning gaps in their education and skills acquisition. We need to bridge these gender divides, ensuring that girls can go to school, stay in school, and learn the skills they need to reach their full potential. Girls say their health, nutrition, and access to sanitation aren't always secure. We need to invest more in expanding girls' access to the full range of quality health services, including adolescent-friendly services. Girls fear violence, exploitation, and abuse, online and offline. Eliminating all forms of gender-based violence and exploitation, including female genital mutilation and child marriage, must be a global, national, and community priority. Girls are frustrated by the stereotypes that say they shouldn't pursue careers as scientists or engineers, and by all the harmful norms that hold them back from reaching their dreams. We all have a responsibility to help break down those barriers. To all the girls and young women participating, I want to echo the theme of this year's celebration. Your time is now, and UNICEF will continue to work alongside you to ensure that the rights of every girl, everywhere, are supported, protected, and respected.
We have Ms. Lauren Rampel.
Thank you so much, Ari. Wow. Well, I really am feeling a great sense of celebration to be here on International Day of the Girl. Linda, Miriam, Gloria, thank you for the work that you're doing and the loudness with which you're speaking on behalf of girls. That is our position here today, as you heard from our executive director. Girls are a top priority for UNICEF's work, and we really do stand behind you and with you because all girls matter everywhere. Miriam, was it you that said International Day of the Girl should be every day? I feel exactly the same way. So perhaps just to share a couple of reflections from our side and what we're thinking about right now and today in particular. Firstly, that we are 100% behind the 600 million girls, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the scientists, the future leaders that are really standing poised to take on the world. We are behind you, we are with you, and we want to see more resources in your hands. The second thing we're thinking about is how many obstacles that you're still facing. Stephen from Plan is talked about a report being launched. Our own data as well is showing that, yes, over the past decade when IDG was first launched, we've seen some marginal gains for girls. We've seen that they're living longer. They're more likely to go to primary school. Some of them are more likely to be employed. And really contributing to their local economies. But the vast majority are still suffering from incredible violations of their rights, as we can see in the news headlines every day, and then this week in particular. We're still seeing 1 in 5 girls get married before her 18th birthday. 10 million more girls than we were anticipating as a result of COVID-19 and shuttered schools and growing poverty. We're seeing 1 in 3 girls more likely to experience sexual violence in her lifetime. We're seeing that 75% of new HIV infections, what Stephen talked about, are likely to occur amongst adolescent girls compared to their peers. And discrimination, stigma, and stereotypes are holding girls back. Still, too many people are telling girls you can't go to school, you can't pursue a degree in engineering or science. And actually, girls are just burdened by care work and housework. Girls are doing 2 to 3 times more household chores than their brothers. And this interrupts their schooling, it interrupts their homework, and their ability to actually pursue those careers. So UNICEF solutions are to really advocate boldly, to be a voice together with all of you for girls' rights today and every day. We're calling on governments, the private sector, philanthropic organizations to invest more heavily and more seriously in girls. We're sounding the alarm. We say that girls' rights right now, particularly adolescent girls' rights, are in crisis. And if we don't invest in a serious way, not in a fraction of our GDPs, but in a significant proportion, we're not going to see the change for girls and indeed the world that we need. And the third thing we're doing is really sounding the alarm for education and learning opportunities, especially in crisis. I believe Miriam, you and Linda talked about this. We need to address the access challenges that girls have, where poverty and other obstacles like transport and availability of services are holding girls back. And we need to make sure that when girls are learning, whether through girls-focused skills programs or other opportunities, it's what they need to learn. We know in Africa that 90% of children under 10 still don't know how to read and understand a simple sentence. And this is true for girls in particular when they start hitting secondary school. So not only do schools need to remain open, but they actually need to offer the kinds of quality learning that girls are calling for so they can pursue those careers that they so dream of. So now and every day, may it be International Day of the Girl, let's join hands with boys, with men, with future leaders to really get those investments to be beyond words into actions that matter. Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramble. And now we will go to Gloria. Gloria.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. In Africa, and particularly, the challenges faced by girls are directly linked to gender equality and structural barriers, including unequal access to education, health, power and leadership and resources, which disadvantage and discriminate the most girls living in rural and conflicted areas. Women make up 50% of Africa population, 80% of them reside in rural areas, over 60% are employed in agricultural sectors, though there are some effort done by the government with the support of the non-state actors in the last 10 years. There is so much work to be done since there is a correlation between socio-economic advantages and development. We want a country where girls are educated. The higher the girls are educated, the likely it will change in the present and the future. The opportunities girls have faced in this challenge are related to the increase of the number of activist girls like my organization, Children for Peace. There is a dynamic and vibrant culture of girls' activism and spectrum of groups and leadership structures, from groups established and led by girls and young women to groups. Many girls and young men activists are motivated to become activists for personal experience or by role model. There are also activism and activist groups that have been instigated in some ways through involvement of NGOs, local organizations, and initiatives such as girls are the more and more engaging and girls' rights issues. Gender-based violence, children, child marriage, FGGM, education and mentorship, menstrual health, feeding groups, working with orphans and vulnerable children where the focuses of their works. However, the extent to which this reflects a full range of issues that girls and young people want to work on, rather than simply a reflection of NGOs and donor priorities in a landscape influenced by adult development issues is a question to interrogate. Higher education provides space and connection for girls and young men to organize. The more and more girls activists are online through Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter to promote their works and connect with other activists. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you, Gloria. And thank you, Ms. Russell and Ms. Rumble, for your participation and reflecting on the questions about the challenges and opportunities for the girls and young women. Now I will ask other panelists if they would like to add something briefly to the to what other panelists said.
I mean, so just to break the ice, let me just say that I fully agree with Lauren and what we have had on the significance of education and what education can do to make us make that meaningful change. So I just wanted to say that it's a big issue that has come out, not just here in Nigeria, where we've attended the IDG summit, but in every place we go to. And I think just it's time now really to address it. So perhaps in my second submission, I'm going to pinpoint some of the key things that we can do to land in there. But I just want to really support the idea that education is key in this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen. So anyone else would like to add? Okay, we will move to our next questions. And this question goes to Plan International CEO, Mr. Stephen Omollo and Linda. And the question is, what are the most urgent issues to be addressed for girls' rights in the next 10 years? Mr. Stephen, the mic is yours.
Well, thank you so much, really. And look, there are so many things we can talk about in this space and so many things that we can do to correct, especially when you talk about the rights, girls' rights. But let me pick three things that touched me and things that I think we can make right. So the first one, of course, right to education. The second one for me is right to decide. And the third one for me is right to participate. So, I think we've spoken a lot about education, so I won't take much time in that. But I just want to say that even as we speak now, as we sit together on this great day, there are girls who still cannot access schooling, cannot access it a lot in these platforms. But I've been to countries which are relatively stable. I've been to countries which perhaps do not suffer from fragility, but girls can't access education. They are pulled out of schooling for many reasons. And I just think that when we talk about access to education, we need to go beyond countries that suffer from fragility. We need to be comprehensive in our approach and also have accountability measures that can help us track this. And I know, of course, many organizations have different platforms to, to track the achievements and everything. But it struck me that in one of the meetings that I had the last few days, that in one sitting that you have variations in the data and the statistics that's being shared about the issue of education and access to education girls. So I just want to say here that, and that education has got to be total education. I think in the UN General Assembly, the Secretary General Antonio Guterres talked about the issue of total education and quality education. And then and I spoke about the issue of comprehensive sexuality education as well. And I think it's important that we embrace this. And even in customs and traditions and different contexts where people don't want to hear, because I've been told that this is a very controversial way of looking at it. But I think it's not controversial. It's saying the truth. And it's saying the truth that we have to introduce it in our early education system, not wait until too late, because it's important to ensure that, that there is a level of awareness and sensitization that then can ensure that girls can decide and not that we decide for them. So I would like to say that education really has to be looked at in totality. And then, of course, I spoke to where you engage with the girls, you ask the question, can I share your story? And I got a permission to share this story of a young girl in Guatemala who was really, I visited this rehabilitation center where very young girls from the age of 12 to I think 24 plus have been subjected to gender-based violence, gang violence, nondescript actions. And there was a 12-year-old girl who, from the age of 8 has been subjected to rape by relatives, by gangs, by the community. And at the age of 12, a child really is now a mother of 2. Every time I share this, I become so emotional because how can we as humanity allow that to happen? Now, so it is sad that we don't just allow that to happen, but that we still see that spreading in many areas as well. I got examples where I'm seated now that I don't want to share now, but it is just important that the rights are universal and they're human rights for everyone. There's no rights for boys and men, and there's no rights for girls and women. We are all equal, and we've got to embrace them. And therefore, even the rights for girls to decide is a shame we're talking about it, but it's important that we really land on it. And the girls that I met, the girls groups that I've met in the last few days, have given me a manifesto, and that manifesto really identifies the key areas which we can do to ensure that their rights to decide is enshrined and is respected. Now, in Plan International, we have different mechanisms, we have different approaches. I think this was not the platform for me to share what Plan is doing and what Plan is not doing, but I think it's important to demonstrate that we are a girls-focused organization. And on these issues, we have very clear accountability framework that we put in place to help us track and address these issues. The big task is to ensure that we engage the issue of policy and legislation. We have to discuss with the traditional groups in the communities, traditional leaders, community leaders. We need to discuss with the girls and the young people. They have to drive the process, not to be top down, but bottom up. I'm particularly interested in the community areas, in the rural areas. The third one, which I hear so much, and there's been a lot of discussions on that, and the report that I alluded to earlier addresses it, is the right to participate. You will read from that report, and I just want to mention one data here, that in the interview that covered 29,000 girls all over, globally, girls were interviewed between the age of 15 and 29, I think, and that research identifies that 90% of the girls interviewed are keen to be engaged and participate in the political space. Now, so there is an interest for girls saying that we need, if you want to make a difference, we need to participate in the political space, okay? Political participation. But then the sad part is that when you ask the other question, then only 1 out of 6 think that they have a chance of becoming political leaders. Today, a young girl posed a question to the minister in this meeting that I just attended in Abuja, in saying, in 60 years plus Nigeria, why have you not even had a woman president? And it's not just Nigeria, this is across the world. So the right to participate is important. And so the girls are telling us that we've got not just to create the space for them, they'll create the space themselves. And they're already creating the space themselves. And they're going to push hard. And if we don't get out of their way, then they're going to do it, whether we like it or not. And it is a movement that is being created now to ensure that girls are well positioned and to participate in the political space. So I mentioned those 3, not that the others are not important. There are so many other areas we can talk about. But for me, it's the right to education, right to decide, and right to participate. Extremely important if you want to make a difference on the many issues that we talk about, including GBV, FGM, and everything else that we're talking about. So let me stop there and allow others to come on board as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omollo. Now we will move to Linda. Linda, please.
Wow, thank you so much. I have a brief story to share. When I joined P1, Primary 1, with 100 and plus girls. Then when we start our Primary 7, we're less than 50, we were ranging from 45 to 50 girls. But unfortunately, we managed to sit as 48 girls. Then when we joined secondary education, then joining campus, like the university education, actually we dropped to 20%. Now here comes a question, where did the rest go? Now this comes back to the question posed to me today, like what are the most urgent issues to be addressed for the girls' rights in the next 10 years? So me personally, when you come to the local context, when you come and look at the cultural leaders, the cultural norms affecting girls in different countries, not only in Uganda, not only in Karamoja, but when you look at these cultural norms, actually I can give some of them because most of them are live examples, like denial to education, forced marriages, early marriages. These are some of the issues which ended up most of the like my other colleagues to drop out of school. So when you look at the cultural context, this is a big issue whereby different stakeholders have to come in now and look at and target the cultural leaders at the grassroots. Because now when you look at because this comes as a hindrance to most of the countries, not only in Uganda, but also globally. So when you look at education actually it is also in the cultural norm. Let me just give an context in the Uganda, where that is in Karamoja. Like a girl is not allowed to go to school. Why it is only a boy who is supposed to go to school? That when a girl goes to school, a girl becomes a prostitute and so on in quotes. But this comes now to the trust that if other stakeholders, if these cultural leaders, if the cultural members give trust to a girl, then there will be over greater achievement. That's why I was more of the cultural norms, like if these cultural leaders are over main targets, so that some of the negative cultural norms are eliminated, not like attacking them or what, but these are the cultural norms which should be really in the girl share. For example, when you look at female genital mutilation, very many girls have lost lives, some of my friends and other people. So that's why I call upon, like, if the cultural norms are over prior key to this, because this is where now other issues come in, the child trafficking, the education system, the leadership, and other discriminatory gender norms. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda, and thank you also for Mr. Omollo. Would any other panelist like to briefly add something? Please just feel free to jump in.
Thank you. I might add 2 humble words. Thank you very, very much for these inspirational stories and the energy behind it today from everybody who's spoken. I wanted to just thank everybody behind today's event. I have an incredible team. I'm so lucky. You can't see them, but they're there and they're making things happen. And I think that's very much what we want to see today and the next few days over this month of October be about, is supporting the girls that can't be seen. We know from our own work that evidence shows that programs that work best for girls are with girls. They're directed very much in their attention. We can't hope for a trickle-down effect from generic programs, but also the ones that connect girls with each other as a powerful force. Girls need peers. They need, I think there's girls clubs, some of you mentioned, girls safe spaces, girls interactions online and offline. Girls learn best and succeed best when they have each other. And so whatever we can do to promote that sense of collective action and support for girls, keeping them from being isolated and at home without access to services is what we need to do. And that's particularly true in an acute crisis where we know that girls are the very first to lose out from education and safety. So connecting them to each other and to the services that they need helps them to fulfill and shape the destinies that they are entitled to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Shambil, very much. Now we will move to the 30 question, but before we move to the 30 questions, I would like to remind the audience that we have the question and answer box. If you have any question for any panelist, please send it in the question and answer box. Also, we have a video that we will present it after the 30 question for Mr. Justin Trudeau. So yeah, and now our final question is for Her Excellency Mrs. Monica Chakwera, First Lady of Malawi, and for Mariam. The question is, how can we make sure that girls are at the forefront of driving a change over the next 10 years?
Thank you very much. From here, we usually say greetings, everybody. It's good afternoon, everybody. It's still afternoon, yeah, it is. I'm very honored today that I'm part of this discussion, this high-level panel of putting girls in the forefront. And I know work has already been happening for the past 10 years, like you have already said, and many people have already contributed. But I think my point today, what I want to stress is that, this is giving us an opportunity to discuss issues, international organizations, local organizations, everyone involved in girl education is part of this whole forum. And like somebody said, we are celebrating girls' Day today, as it was established 10 years ago. It's a commemoration of that. But like you said, you could be doing it every day. I would be so happy. Because for me, I'm also very passionate about making sure girls get education. So for me, education is key. Knowledge and skill is power for the girls. So that's why I'm very, very passionate about it. With resourcefulness, creativity, resolve, and resilience, like somebody that was presenting just now, the 600 million girls globally have shown that given the skills and opportunity, they can be the change maker and men. So we need to put girls in the forefront as examples to others that can also come in. We are also talking about investment in the girls' education. So for us as government, especially here in our country, our major problem is poverty. Why girls don't continue in school, it's poverty. And as government, we are putting policy in place to make sure girls go to school and stay in school and learn, because all those three are very big issues that are pulling us back. So as leadership, we should be deliberate. And we should be saying, okay, if we did ABCD, how did it work for girls to advance in education? So letting girls lead by putting girls in the forefront of change effort, giving girls an opportunity to be listened to and to be heard while responding to their tasks, and welcoming them into decision-making places. So we're putting in girls in the forefront to help even the decision-making. And we're deliberately putting women in front as well in leadership roles. We have laws that we have put in place. For example, in major decision-making positions, we have put a law to say it should be 40-60. At least women should not be less than 40. They can go up to 60%. And that is helping to see that women can perform, can deliver, and the girls aspire to say, I also want to be like this woman. For example, we have Speaker of Parliament is a woman. We have several ministers that are women. And even in law, they are in the forefront. So the younger girls aspire to say, I think I want to become like that. And we have seen that that is really helping. That's why I was saying, number one for me is education, because you cannot occupy those positions without education. So girls and young women voices must be heard. Yes, when they are in those positions, now I think we are hearing a lot of issues that are coming up. Even for the gender-based violence, we have chiefs, women chiefs that are involved, that are also, the numbers are increasing in the chieftaincy of the local place. Like I said, 80% of Malawians live in the village. So we have to work in the village as well. So the number of chiefs, number of female chiefs is also increasing. We have head of police, who is the woman. So all those issues together are helping out to attract girls to do education, because number one, basic for me is education for the girls. So we are encouraging organizations to come and help us. Plan is doing great work in Malawi, and we are moving forward with that. So all other international organizations, we need help that we can have all our girls educated. We also want to strengthen services for girls at all times, especially in crisis response and recovery. COVID-19 exposed us to say it is true that girls are very vulnerable, especially in the villages, because so many things didn't go right. So many girls got pregnant during that period. They left school and we are now working on putting them back to school. And then we need to prepare to say, okay, if we have another disaster like that, what should we prepare to prevent those type of things? And then I don't know if my 5 minutes is already gone, but we are letting girls be in the forefront. I'm so happy that I listened to several girls that are getting into that, fighting for their rights and making aware, because sometimes people are not aware of things that they are doing that they are pushing girls backwards. So if the girls come in the forefront, that will help us so that we can really make sure we are driving this agenda. Like I said, deliberately, especially for leaders, we should be deliberate about it to make sure all girls get their education and give them a chance and opportunity to help them forge ahead. We should have, as leadership, we should have listening ears to our girls. Thank you very much. I've learned a lot today, even as I've been listening to people speaking about these issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Now we will give the floor to Mariam. Mariam.
Thank you, Arup. Thank you, Your Excellency, for your intervention. So I believe that the best way to approach this question is to mention the main goals that we need to accomplish through making girls at the forefront of change-making positions and circumstances. These goals are inclusivity, advocacy, and proper representation of national and global issues. And the best resolution that contributes into attaining all three aims is to create a committee of young girls within every organization, national and international organizations. And taking into consideration that older women are nowadays more involved in change-making processes, I believe that this committee should address younger girls like us speakers today. It should have an age group of 10 to 18 years old, and it should be updated with the plans and events that the organization that it is located within, and everything related to their strategies and what they wish to add to their agendas. And when this committee is updated with such information, they can contribute by suggesting and evaluating and maybe proposing a few resolutions that are from a younger girl's perspective. I believe that an event like the one we are participating in today is also one of the resolutions to make girls at the forefront of change-making processes. But I also believe that we shouldn't wait for such events to speak up and to start highlighting more on the role of girls in such processes. Every day is a day to speak up of the issues that stop us girls from attaining a proper life. Every day is a day to fight against menstrual poverty, breast cancer, gender inequality, unfair wages, illiteracy, and dictatorship. As I said before, and I emphasize on that, every day is a right of the girl. Thank you for giving me the chance to answer this question. I hope that our words that we say today translate in our countries and in developing countries and underdeveloped countries where we need your help the most. We shall await to witness that as we grow to becoming women of change.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you also, Your Excellency, for this, for sharing with us those great responses. Also, I would like to ask the other panelists if any of you would like to add briefly on what Miriam and Her Excellency said. Yes, Linda.
Thank you so much for the podium. What I just wanted to highlight more on, like if these other policies are also localized to the grassroots, so that also a girl who is in the rural area also gets to learn like there is such a policy which is guiding me. Also, when you come to the government programs, also not only in Uganda but global wise, there are actually girls' rights and everything on the policies which are safeguarding a girl's child, the right to education and other rights. So if these policies are actually localized to the grassroots, a girl in the grassroots gets to know like I have a potential, I have a right to education, regardless of what maybe my parents are refusing me to go to school or what. But if these policies are also localized to the grassroots, not only to the government, but also when it comes to us, the civil society in different organizations, and also when you come to the UN, there are different policies in the UN safeguarding a girl's child. But this comes to a notice that these policies are not all that dug into the grassroots. So it was just if these policies are also dug to the grassroots, because it gives a clear view to a girl child, like in the grassroots, like this has to be done. I am supposed to go to school. And also when you come to the national level and globally wise, the networking policy also, this is more important also when girls in different countries in the same country and also in the grassroots network and coordinate together. Let me give an example. Like currently right now all of us are networking, we are from different countries, and it's giving a clear podium like what is happening in Nigeria, it is also happening in Uganda, it is happening in Lebanon. So it gives a clear view that a girl also has to have a girl also has a right to everything, has a right to education, has a right to participate in leadership, has a right to stand out for what belongs to her. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. Also, if there is any of the participants who would like to share their thoughts or questions, please just put them in the question and answer box. Now we will have a video from Canadian Prime Minister, Mr. Justin Trudeau.
Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde, and happy International Day of the Girl. After 10 years, today is an opportunity to take stock of the progress we've made on empowering women and girls. Au Canada et dans le monde entier, les filles contribuent à l'amélioration de nos communautés. Elles nous ont montré que lorsqu'on leur fournit le soutien et les possibilités nécessaires pour réaliser leur plein potentiel, elles peuvent et elles vont transformer notre monde. We will continue to advance gender equality, to address the challenges women and girls face, and to do everything we can to create better opportunities for everyone. To create more inclusive policies, programs, and initiatives, we use an analytical tool called Gender-Based Analysis Plus, which guides our decision-making across government. To make sure every girl has the opportunity to learn new skills and pursue careers of their choice, we're investing in education, training, and mentorship programs. And to make sure every girl can live a life free from violence, we're moving forward with a national action plan to end gender-based violence. Mais pour aider les filles et les jeunes femmes, on doit également faire du progrès sur la scène internationale. Le Canada est parmi les pays du monde qui accordent les plus importantes contributions pour accroître l'égalité des sexes. Notre politique d'aide internationale féministe est axée sur l'égalité des sexes et l'autonomisation des femmes et des filles partout dans le monde. And we see right now girls in Iran fighting for their rights, standing up for a better future, and we will continue to be there in every way we possibly can. En 2018, on a annoncé des fonds pour éliminer les obstacles à l'éducation auxquels font face encore les femmes et les filles en zone de conflit et de crise. My friends, a lot has changed since Canada sponsored the UN resolution to establish International Day of the Girl back in 2011. But the importance of improving girls' rights and equality remains the same. So let's keep pushing for a better future, a future where no one is left behind. Merci pour votre leadership et merci de continuer d'exiger davantage pour les femmes et les filles dans le monde. Encore une fois, bonne journée internationale de la fille.
Thank you very much for Mr. Trudeau for this video. Although he couldn't be with us live today, we are so grateful to Prime Minister Trudeau for sharing those powerful words. And now we will move to the questions and answers section. So please, our panelists, feel free to jump in or to participate if you would like to answer one of these questions. The first question is, how can we make sure that the girls who are from marginalized groups, girls and girls with disabilities, girls from minority groups, etc., are not left behind? Yes, Lauren.
I'm happy to take that one. We know that girls with disabilities face double the stigma, not to mention the structural barriers that they're facing. So the answer is simply to start where girls need us most. Our programs must start with the targeting and directed efforts for girls with disabilities, must program with girls with disabilities. How is the program working for them? We must talk to them frequently, get their feedback, and making sure that girls with disabilities are co-designers and co-creators of everything that we're doing. So start where we want our greatest success to be together. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren, very much. Linda?
Thank you so much. This is also through mapping out the best practices where the girls who are in the marginalized communities, girls with disabilities are focused on. That is simple. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda and Lauren, for your answer. The second question is linked to the comment made by Linda. Many laws and policies have been put in place to protect girls' rights, but often it's the implementation that is missing. How can we make sure that the implementation is being done?
Arubi, if you allow me to come in here just briefly, and other colleagues will jump in. We posed that question. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, that question was posed in the conference that I'm attending here, the IDG summit here in Nigeria. And the minister asked the young girls to make suggestions so that we are solution oriented. And this was their solution. One I want to share with you. They said that if you look at one of the reasons why these policies and the legislation are not implemented fully is because some of the perpetrators of this violence and gang attacks and all this, the perpetrators of the abuse meted on girls are not sitting at the table and or are not involved. So I gave the example, and the example I'm going to share doesn't mean that they're perpetrators, that I'm reporting based on what they say. That if you look at the FGM and look at the early child marriage, if you don't involve the traditional leaders, the parents, the communities, we are not going to land, no matter how many legislation and policies we have in place. So we've got to identify the critical mass at the community level. It has to be a bottom-up approach. So we'd like to ensure that all those faith-based leaders, religious leaders, community leaders, traditional leaders, name them, at the community level, together with the parents and relations that exist within the community level, that is where biggest change will happen. It has to be localized. It cannot be a top-down approach. It has to be really bred and brewed from the bottom, and that is where we're going to have the change. So, and they were very clear on this one, because they see that that is when they go back to the homes and to the rural area, that is really where they can't make any projection, and that's why children are married off by the parents and the community leaders. So really, that's where we have to make the difference. Legislation is good, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. Policies are good. But we have to carry along the community with us in this. Let the community lead and the young girls, and don't forget about the boys and men. It is important that we bring the boys and men to stand in solidarity with the girls. It's extremely important. So I just want to make that contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omollo. Linda, would you like to add something?
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, also this comes on to the monitoring and evaluation, because when policies are passed on and they come to the grassroots or given to different districts or different countries, this comes to our notice that even the funds which are given don't reach even to the local people in the area. So if monitoring and evaluation is being done, then it would be over a prayer key. Because now this is where now you will end up tracking like which activities have been implemented, where which part has been left out, and where should we tackle mostly. Then and also that comes also on the follow-up. Then when you talk of publicity, this comes now to different, because this is a global issue. This is where we have different languages. Now, when you come to the country level, actually in different countries, we have different, like the main language being spoken there. For example, here in Uganda, we use English. So when you come to the grassroots, there are different languages whereby a girl can't understand. A girl in the grassroots can't understand it well, because the way the policies are being formulated and the way the policies are being implemented are quite technical, because of the technical terms being used in what in the policy formulation. So if these policies are also being localized and and also given out like let me just say in publicity area. So then it would be also of a prayer key. Then when you come to the male engagement, remember these are the very key perpetrators hindering a girl child education. So when we engage them, when we talk to them, because it comes to their notice that maybe these girls are trying to empower us. So when we try to engage them more, then it will be better, so that they understand it well. Like, this is your sister, this is your sister's what? Success, this is your sister's future. Doesn't mean like it is we are coming to fight against you, but we are coming to work as a team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. Gloria, would you like to add something on this question? Gloria, we can't hear you. Can you please unmute yourself?
That's a good question. Since we live in a patriarchal system, girls must be involved in decision concerning their lives, because they are generally left behind when taking decision concerning parliaments of girls should be created, so they can have more knowledge on their rights, so that they become real stakeholders, because I believe girls are key stakeholders and they are capable to drive social transformation. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria, very much. We have the last question. Some of the panelists talked about a crisis situation. It seems that the world is seeing more and more crises, including war and conflict and natural disasters. How we can make sure that girls' rights are respected and protected throughout these crises? Mariam, go ahead. The mic is yours.
Well, usually in every crisis, organizations or plan relief campaigns. And these relief campaigns are in charge of giving the financial support, the medical support, if there's a war or a natural disaster. So relief campaigns also have a huge responsibility in spreading awareness. So within a crisis, I believe that these relief campaigns can spread awareness about how to preserve and protect girls' rights. And even though we are sort of busy with finding out a resolution to the current problem, or busy in solving the war or counting the casualties, but we shouldn't be busy to an extent where we neglect the rights of the girls, because we have reached huge progress in that domain. And once we witness a problem and move backwards, that would affect a lot on a very larger scale in the future, and it could affect the whole agenda that we have towards towards making girls change makers and women of change. So I believe that during crisis is the biggest testament to how good and to how well we treat girls and their rights.
Thank you very much, Mariam. Mrs. Lauren.
Of course, I fully agree with Miriam. I love the idea that in crisis, that's where our test really comes into play. So yes, for sure, what we want to be seeing in crisis is a good analysis. We need to understand what girls are facing. We need to talk to girls, listen to girls, really hear where they're vulnerable and what kinds of support we can offer. And then we really need to be fully supportive of restoring services, education being a number one. I hear often from countries, even partners, that education's too hard to do in a crisis. Absolutely not. It's where we need to start. Getting girls even in temporary educations and skills learning opportunities. We don't want to lose a moment. We need safe spaces. We know that gender-based violence is a reality. I think all of our amazing speakers emphasized that today. So let's get started with safe spaces where girls can access the support they need if and when they need it. And then, of course, we need to be a loud voice for girls' rights in these times, because UNICEF and others believe that in crisis also comes opportunity. We have a chance to actually take that chaos and turn it into a reimagining of the world that girls want to create. And one of the things UNICEF is really trying to think hard about is how do we actually change the way that we do resources, how the money flow? How do we actually partner more concretely and more flexibly with no earmarking with girls and women's rights organizations who are on the front line when many of us are too scared or too far away? Girls are doing things. So how can we get them the tools, the resources, and the support they need in that moment? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lauren. Linda, would you like to share? But please be brief, because of the time. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm actually going to use 1 minute. One of them is empowerment. When you look at a girl child is empowered. When you look at the education system, we have different education systems. But when you look at the Finland education system, it's quite of a good education system to a girl child. So if we because in different countries we have different education systems, and when we look at the empowerment part, actually this drives a girl like this is what I'm supposed to do, because it ends up handing her a living, because the more you scale a girl, the more the nation is being built to a greater height. And also on the safe spaces, if the safe spaces are well equipped and based on the different crises, also on gender-based violence, the girls are being raped and defiled. So when you look at the safe spaces, if the safe spaces are well equipped, and also in the police, because at times we have corruption in the police systems. Let me say the army or those systems whereby a girl is supposed to be safeguarded. So when you look at these safe spaces, so the police should also be more involved, so that a girl's right is also delivered well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. And just to wrap up the session, thank you all for our panelists and for the participants for being a part of this session. Thank you for your fruitful responses. And just to wrap up the session, like what we agreed upon, like girls around the world continue to face challenges to their education, physical and mental wellness, and the protections needed for a life without violence. And also girls with disabilities face additional barriers to accessing support and services. But with adversity, however, comes the productivity, creativity, and tenacity and resilience. But the world 600 million adolescent girls have shown time and time again that given the skills and the opportunity, they can be a change makers, driving progress in their communities, building back stronger for all, including women, boys, and men. Girls are ready for a decade for acceleration forward, and it's time for us all to stand accountable with and for girls, and to invest in the future that believes in their agency, leadership, and potential. So thank you all for being a part of this session. Hope to see you all in another Zoom webinar. Thank you very much.